in the sense that we've been able to get some rest and get energized, and at the same time, the most important thing is that they had the proper energy to fulfill everything they needed to do academically this week. Obviously, a huge week with finals, as have the last couple of weeks been, especially last week. With all the games, practices, and all the things that they're doing academically, it's really important that they make sure that their edge, first and foremost, is in everything that they need with their classwork. And at the same time, the residual effect is they're a little more rested when they practice and play, because then it's a little bit more exciting when they're there, rather than the drudgery of the long days, because they're spending so much time on their schoolwork and preparing for the exams. But they're excited to play on the next couple of games, especially as we get ready to play tomorrow. We have a lot of respect for Butler, a lot of respect for how they play, and they're one of the more experienced teams. They're a lot more experienced than us, but I think our guys are excited to go in for that challenge and play in that environment, and we're excited to go. So, go ahead.
They defend the three-point line very well. I asked James about this too. Just statistically, I think they're top 10 or top 20 in opponent three-point percentage. What do they do well? How does it? Have you seen something like what they do well guarding the perimeter this season?
No, the numbers are only as good as the game you play and the way that you have to move them around. But I would say, to answer your question, they do a good job of switching. They've got pretty good length, and they can cover a lot of ground because of the experience. They can help and at the same time get back, and they don't lose perspective very often on what they need to do. So it's not like they're in an overhelp situation, or it's not like they are susceptible to a lot of different things. You just got to keep moving them, and because they do such a good job of playing along the three-point line, they're never really being rotated that much, where they're constantly in movement, and because of the switching allows them to kind of stay the way that they want to. So they're very solid. They're very solid in definitive. Really, definitive is just another word for efficient, because they really know what they want to do. They know how they want to play ball screens. They know how they want to play the post. They play to their personnel strengths very well on both sides of the ball, and I'm not sure that I would have a comparison of somebody right now. They're just very good.
What kind of matchup? I know they have a couple matchup problems for you guys, but in particular, Roosevelt Jones, what kind of problems does he present for you guys?
Well, he's a tremendous driver. We didn't do a very good job of ever getting him under control a couple of years ago. And he drives well. He's very strong, and it's very hard to put anybody out there because of that size and the way that he plays. And when he's able to drop his shoulder, he's really going to a runner, a type of a floater type of shot. He gets it up high off the glass. He's a tremendous rebounder. So you just got to be very, very efficient, staying in front of him and not giving him angles. And at the same time, you got to block him out, as you do with everybody else.
Yeah, Tom, what makes Butler so efficient, so solid in rebounding? Is it will? Is it tenacity? Is it strength? All of the above?
Oh, I think it's easy to put it on those. They just go. They're athletic, and they're very athletic. They're very aggressive on the glass, and they're going to create a lot of contact when they go to the glass. And if you're not prepared for it, you'll end up 3, 4, 5 feet from where you started. And they use their hands very well and get into the boards. And Woods he's there every time, and he spends a lot of time in that alley area, that short corner area, which puts him in position. And Jones is a very good rebounder. They shoot enough threes that create some long rebounds. But they're very, very effective in the sense that their forwards and some of their wings really go every time. And I think that's what it is more than anything else. And you've got to be committed to the blockouts. Where they've had big numbers, offensive rebounding wise, it didn't appear to me that the opponent was very committed to blocking them out. And we've got to be better there all the time. We were better last Saturday than we were last Tuesday. But we've got to continue to make those strides every day. And at the same time, we've got to put pressure on the offensive end. We've got to be able to rebound the ball better, because that's got to become a strength for us as we move forward. So, no question about it. Rebounding will be a huge factor in the game tomorrow. No matter who wins it, it's going to that number is going to probably have a lot to do with it.
Coach, how much of this week was self-assessment and how much of it was looking ahead of Butler? Because you had a chance to do both.
I don't understand the
Like, how much of
question.
it was kind of like looking at your own team and trying?
We do that every day. We don't take a week where we have a week in between and just factor on the other team or just factor on us. We work into us every day, and that's one of the things that we do when it's skill development. I think that's why the improvement level has been so high over the years, because I don't think we ever get away from the fundamental development. So I don't care if it's walkthrough. It doesn't matter if it's a 1 or 2 day. We're never going to take a day and not get better. It's something that we need to get better at. And we're constantly, the term is self-scout. We're constantly doing that. I mean, that's what your films are for. That's what your practice films are for. That's what your statistics are for. And really knowing your team and keeping track every day. I do it myself. I mean, every day where we're at with guys. It's almost like it is with our academics. Every day we know exactly where the guys are in that class, what they got done the day before, what they have to do that day, what they did in study hall that night before, and what's next. And I think it's got to be the same with your team. And you got to be able to give them feedback in sometimes a structured setting, be it a film room or a meeting or a one-on-one meeting. But really, that feedback comes in practice, in real time, in moving time. So I couldn't tell you what the percentage of it is in practice, because that sometimes varies. But I don't think you'd have the improvement that we'd have in players with the shooting, with the ball handling, with the perimeter play, all those different things defensively as guys get better through the year if we weren't focusing on what we need to do. Mike?
Having Butler in Georgetown less than 2 weeks before you start the Big Ten, is that ideal for you? Is that really let you know what you need to do?
Well, it's where we're at. I don't look at those assessments either. I mean, and we've got New Orleans on Monday night, who's playing extremely well. I have a couple guys that are shooting very well in their field goal percentage and getting better all the time. So don't look at it like that. There's always time. That's part of your assessment of where you're at as a team after you've studied that game. And certainly we know of those games. We know what might work because we've looked ahead to the point of studying them. We studied Butler, Georgetown, Pittsburgh, Louisville, all those teams. We've been studying them since the summer, and then certainly reviewing it again in the fall before practice starts, and adding to it. That's before they've ever played a game this year. So with that, you're able to put stuff in motion a lot earlier. That not necessarily their sets, but how you want to attack, how you want to defend it, and it's always not. Sometimes you can use similarities. But we're very much a game plan team. We're very much game plan specific. That's why we play different defenses. That's why we have different matchups. That's why we do different things inside of the game, sometimes inside of the possession. And that's where what they're running and what their strengths are come into it. But I think you're constantly looking at where your team is at after every game. And then you're getting that ready for the next practice, which hopefully leads to the next game. And over the last couple of weeks, we have gotten better through the week. Like I mentioned, I think the other day, that's key, that we get better throughout the week. And that's why the improvement constantly is got to be at the forefront, the fundamental improvement of your team. And then, like this week, there's just a little more time to do it because there's not as many games. But it's a little bit more compact because of what they're doing academically and because of the time that we want to try to do our very best to have everybody there at once. It doesn't always work out that way. But sometimes you may practice late, you may practice early. But it's definitely about getting ready for the game, but you're always looking forward to the point where, okay, we work on this is going to help us in 2 weeks. So I think there's some of that too.
Kellen Dunn, who can step out to 25, 26 feet, how does somebody like him change how you approach the game plan?
It doesn't change it at all. We play against great shooters all the time. What he does is there's a lot of movement after he makes the catch. There's a lot of shot faking, putting his shoulder into you, jumping into you. You have to be very, very smart with how you defend him. And he's very good at creating that contact and certainly having it appear that the defense created the contact. So you've got to be very disciplined in how you guard him. And you've got to have great discipline and verticality once he gets the ball picked up because there's so much movement after the catch. So the bottom line is he's more than just a shooter. He's a scorer. He's a guy that can drive it. He's got an arsenal of different things that he can get to off the dribble. And You've got to be very, very disciplined, not only with your individual defense, but with your team defense with him. Because obviously there's other guys on the court that can make a lot of shots as well. Pete?
Tom, this particular event, the Crossroads Classic, your thoughts on it, has it changed over the years? Do you like it more or less, or what are your thoughts on it?
It's really good for the state. I mean, it's something that was put together years ago and continues to be something that we're going to play for the years to come. And it puts 4 teams in there that are all pretty good. You know, maybe someday there comes a point where the other teams in the state are in an event like this. And it's even a longer day, or over a 2-day period. You know, it's something like that, because it's a great recognition for everybody in the state of Indiana, all right? And no matter what network's covering it, everybody has a chance to see it, right? But there's a lot of great basketball in the state of Indiana. You know, maybe the day comes that it's not only the Division I teams in the state, but that maybe there's Marion or DePaul or Wabash or somebody like that, and they get a chance to play in Bankers Life. I'm not trying to play promoter and schedule maker, but I mean, it's a great state. So the more that you can get, people to see that, you know, and see there's a lot of really good basketball here, the better it would be. But the bottom line is, every time you're in it, you're playing a very tough opponent, and that's what's most important, and that's what's most challenging.
Anything else? You mentioned yesterday, I guess, on the radio, just talking about Devin, sorry. You thought he might be able to be back for classes in the spring. Obviously, it sounded like we're moving slower just in terms of getting him back to basketball, but I guess where do those things stand right now, as I imagine now is kind of a natural point to assess?
No, it's really, well, that's being assessed by the doctors at different times, but it's really having a plan for either way, which we've had for some time now. And you know, whether he was going to be able to come back and play, whether he's not going to be able to come back and play, if he can't play, how much school can he have? And we just want to be set for whatever the doctors feel is the best situation. And we're getting closer to that. I mean, we're still, there's still a long time before the semester starts. He's still got a lot of healing to do before the next semester starts. But as far as any time looking at him being on the court right now, nobody sees that right now. But as far as him being able to get better every day and to continue to get his physical strength and stamina up, not to mention what he needs to do with his therapy and things of that nature, that's what's most important. What's most important is that he heals properly, that he knows it's here when he gets back, and that he can get back to being a student, because he's been a fantastic student here. I mean, a very good student here, and was doing very well at the time of the accident, and had a very good summer, had a very good freshman year. So it's certainly not going to be a normal year for him, but the more you can bring normalcy back to him in the sense of getting him back to what a 19, 20-year-old's structure should be like, the more we can get to that in the sense of him having his classes and being around his teammates. So we have a lot of different contingency things going on right now that when we know exactly how it's going to be, that's where we're at. But we would certainly anticipate him being back in school, and that being the most important thing.
Mike, last question.
Just to kind of piggyback on that, I mean, is there a point when you would probably say that maybe it's in his best interest to maybe redshirt? I mean, would you feel comfortable if he came back and played in the middle of conference season?
Well, I think that becomes a personal choice, but I mean, I don't think there's never been any destination date in my mind or our mind. There's never been any target date. I don't think there's been one in his. I think his bottom line was he would have loved to have been healthy enough to play. Would he like to play by now? Probably. Okay, but the whole thing with him is let's not be in a rush. Let's just get better. I mean, because we're all dealing with something that every injury is hard, right? This is completely different because you're dealing with the brain, and there's no. It's very hard to put a time assessment on that. It's very hard to put a destination on that. So the redshirt thing has certainly been a possibility in my mind and all of our minds, really, ever since it happened. You know, I mean, the progress he's made compared to where he's been, I mean, I can't tell you how inspiring that is. Is it as much progress as he would probably like to make? No, he'd like to play to the first night. It just doesn't work that way. So either way, he's going to be in a really good spot. And again, we just continue to follow what the doctors are doing, what his rehab specialists are doing, what his therapists are doing. And we have great communication, but at the same time, the bridge is our doctors and those doctors that are working with him constantly that way. And that we're ready either way. Because no matter when he comes back, it's not like it's just going to be back to normal. I mean, so we're going to have to make sure that we're set up and equipped for that. But we're looking forward to that. We're ready for that. And it's like anything else. If they came back and said, okay, he's coming back today, it wouldn't take us very few minutes to get ready, you know. But it's not that he is, but that's kind of the plan that you have to have. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Tom.